how do we actually determine if a trinomial is indeed perfect square, and how do we factor it. So definition of perfect square trinomial is that it is a polynomial with three terms, or trinomial, that can be factored as the product of two identical binomials. And but let me show you geometrical representation of perfect square. It says square because it's square. That means that in geometry we would definitely get a square. So let's see if I can make a square. It's not a perfect square, but let's say that this is a perfect square, and with the sides being a plus or minus b. Both cases will work, but I'm going to do it at once. So a either plus or minus b. So those are the sides. So area of this square would be length times width, which would give us a plus or minus b times itself. So now we see by definition that a trinomial who can be factored as a product of two identical binomials is indeed perfect square trinomial. So if you actually use the FOIL, we will end up with a square plus, if it's plus, minus if it's minus, 2 times a times b plus b square. So how are we going to use this formula to determine if trinomial is perfect square trinomial? So let's do an example. So if you have, let's say, x plus 6x, or x squared plus 6x plus 9. So how do we know if this is a perfect square trinomial? So we have to determine what is a and what is b. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this as x squared plus, you see in this formula there is, I'm now using plus because it's plus, not minus. So there is 2 here. That's always going to be there. So I'm going to write that 2 times something that has to be filled in plus something squared. So look at this. I need to get 6x. So 2 times what gives me 6x? Or I can do it 6x divided by 2, which gives us 3x. Okay? And then what number squared gives us 9, which is 3. From here, we can say that a is x and b is 3, right? And so we're just gonna following this formula. We will take x, we will take plus, because it's plus in this particular instance, and we will take this 3, because see, formula says a plus b times a plus b. So we do have x and 3. A is x, b is 3. We're using plus because it's given in this expression right here. So we're just going to write that as x plus 3 times x plus 3, or simply x plus 3 squared. Okay, so now I'm gonna do some examples, but you probably should pause video, try yourself, and then see if you got it right. Okay, so the first example here is very simple. So we have a square plus, but before I do that, let me write the formula down here. If we have a plus or minus b times a plus or minus b, that should be equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So we can reference that. So a squared, and then it's going to be plus 2 times something that we're going to fill in plus something that we're going to square. So 4a divided by 2 is 2a, and 2 squared is 4. So we can say that in this particular case a is a, and b is 2, right? So we're just going to use that a. We're going to use 2 as a b and plus. So our final factored form would be a plus, see, I'm just following this, a plus, what is b? Oh, that's 2 times itself, a plus 2, or simply a plus 2 squared. Okay, similar over here, we have y squared minus 2 times, I'm going to speed up a little bit, 2 times 5y plus 5 squared. So I can say that a in this case, if you're looking at the formula, a would be y and b would be 5, right? So we're going to take y, that's our a, in this case minus, and b is 5. And just going to write it as y, see y, then minus this 5 times itself, or simply y minus 5 squared. Okay, so just try to do yourself, without, and then play the video again and see if you got it right. This one right here is written in ascending order, so I'm going to rewrite it in descending order. So m squared minus 20m plus 100. So following the formula, it should be m squared minus 2 times 10m plus 10 squared. Again, I see 10 here, 10 here, tells me that this is a perfect square. So we're just going to take m, that's going to be our a, minus, and then 10 is going to be our b in this particular case. And so we have that m minus 10 times m minus 10, or m minus 10 squared. Okay, good. So let's do a couple more examples, or a few more examples. Actually, yeah, 3. So this one is really simple. You should try on your own, but it goes this way. P squared plus 2 times, I'm just going to write 1 times p. You don't have to, but I'm just going to write it because I want to show, okay, there is 1 here and 1 here, so it's a perfect square. So we're just going to take p plus 1. So I'm going to speed up even more, so this is just going to be p plus 1 squared. That's it. So let's see the next one. It's in ascending order, so let's write it in descending order. So it is a squared plus 14a plus 49. So we get a squared plus 2 times 7a plus 7 squared. So we have 7 here, and then we have also a here, so it's a perfect square. So we are going to use a plus 7. So we get a plus 7 squared. This next one is a little bit more challenging, but it's not too bad. So 64y squared, we're going to write that as 8y squared minus 2 times 24ya plus 3a squared. And then I'm going to rewrite this middle term. So that contains, so it still contains, but you're going to see exactly 8y and you're going to see 3a, and that's going to tell you that it's a perfect square. So you have 8y squared minus 2 times, instead of 24ya, I'm going to write 8y times 3a plus 3a squared. So we see 3a here, 3a here. We see 8y here and 8y here. So it's a perfect square. So that means that we're just going to take 8y minus 3a. So we're going to write that as 8y minus 3a squared. Alrighty. So now time for you to try. So again, pause, do it, and see if you got it right, and then play it again. 25x squared, that's going to be 5x squared plus 2 times 5x plus 1. Okay, so this I can say plus 1 squared. So we see that here is times 1, right? So there is 1 here, 1 here. You have 5x here, 5x here. It's a perfect square. So I'm just going to take 5x plus 1 and square it. So 5x plus 1, C would be the right answer. And one more for finale. So again, pause and then play. Pause this and do you on your own. And if you get stuck, play it, then pause it again. You know, that's the best way to learn. So we see x squared plus 2 times 6xy plus 6y squared. So here we see, let me just rewrite it so you can see exactly. 2 times x times 6y. So that's same as 6xy plus 6y squared. So you see 6y here, x, and then that means that it's a perfect square. We take x, we take plus, and 6y. So our answer would be x plus 6y squared, which is B. Okay, so thank you for watching this and hopefully help you. And if you have any questions, comments, please let me know, and or any additional problems that you would like to see, let me know. I will gladly help you out. Thank you, and stay safe.